Welcome to Myth Machine, and welcome to Myth Machine, and Alternative World War II. Before there was Hearts of Iron 4, before all this digital stuff back in the good old days, there was World in Flames and Days of Decision. And as it happened, I found some ambitious person on Tabletop Simulator had uploaded all of World in Flames 5th edition. So I was a bit ambitious and uploaded Days of Decision 3. So now we're gonna combine these two with duct tape and chewing gum. But then which World in Flames table does not have its own house rules? To make an alternate history the way only World in Flames can do it. So here we are. If you have any questions about the rules and so on, I'll be happy to answer them. The year is 1936, and quick overview, I suppose, of the map. We have Europe, we have the Pacific, we have a lot of colors here for different countries. Gray is Germany, light blue is France, dark blue is the Commonwealth, green is Italy, brown is the USSR, red is Japan, yellow is China, and dark green is the US. This game is divided into various turns. 2 months per turn. Each turn is divided into different phases and impulses, and I am sure I'm not the expert on the details of the rules, but I'll get by. In 1936, of course, there is no World War, because historically, World War II, if you have done your homework, you will know that it started in 1939 in Europe, and it started in 1937 in Asia. And that's not where we are yet. Each country will be making its own political decisions according to the political options available to them. I'm playing this solo, of course. You have the option to advise. And we have a political status display here showing the situation with neutral countries and minor countries, and the major countries divided into, and I'm sure Hearts of Iron 4 fans will recognize some of this, 3 ideological poles. And part of the objective here for each major power is to get as many minor powers under its sway as possible. The political turn consists of bidding bid points to gain as high as an initiative as possible. And from there, each country will play a political option. As we go through the turn order, the likelihood, we will roll d10s to decide if the political turn ends. If it does, then those who bid points but didn't get to play anything get some comfort reward in the form of bid points. But it's also possible that they will not get to do their thing. So there is that risk. If you really want to have your country act during the turn, you better bid enough points to do that. In the turn that we are in now, January 1936, there is no bidding. It's the only turn where there is no bidding. Instead, there is a set order according to the setup here, where Germany starts, and then all the other nations do take their turns. However, since none of the countries actually start out with bid points, it is usually a good idea at the first impulse to play an political option called Option 0G, which gives you bid points equal to 3 times your political effectiveness, which in this case is displayed here. Political effectiveness, Germany has 5. We have the Commonwealth, France, and Italy with 3 each. Soviet Union, the US, and Japan with 2 each, and China with 1. So, shall we get things going? See how this goes. In this, it counts as if everybody has bid something, unless the D10 is mean. We'll see who gets to do something. Roll 1 or less on the D10 to end the turn. Modifier is -1 for each previous option played, except Major Power 0G. And then there was pluses for the amount of major powers that are at war. All right. Italy is actually at war currently, but that's not enough to modify the die roll because it's 4 to 7 major powers. Italy is currently at war with East Africa. It's the Abyssinian War. In this Hearts of Iron 5, if you're playing the collectors and final editions, you'll have a different map and you'll actually be able to fight this. Italy has to fight this war against Ethiopia. But in the 5th edition, that is not something that exists. All right, we are going to go to the political options. Just doing my thing here. Germany starts, and Germany will play 0G. Receive bid points equal to 3 times your political effectiveness. Because if you don't play this immediately, you don't have any bid points, and then next turn you will have to use actual money to bid. Oh, right. Before we go into this, I should describe the current situation in the world, shouldn't I? Very quickly then. Germany has no alliances with any major powers at this stage in this game. To have a complete alliance where you cooperate and everything on the ground and, you know, it's complete integration of the troops, you need to get a level 3 treaty with another major power. Germany currently has no treaty with another major power at all. It does have an economic agreement, I guess you could say. It starts out with getting some resources from the Soviet Union and from Romania and from Sweden. It does not have access to the Rhineland because, of course, historically it was supposed to be a demilitarized zone. It does get access to one of the resources in the Rhineland, but not the factory and not the other resource because of that Versailles Treaty. France has a level 1 treaty, non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union and with Italy. And that's about it. The Commonwealth has no treaties with any major powers. It has a non-aggression pact with the Netherlands. Oh, France and Germany have an alliance with Poland. France also has an alliance with Yugoslavia, same as the USSR. And France also does have an alliance with Belgium. And let's see now, the US does not have any alliances with anyone. It does send resources to Japan, though. And Japan also doesn't have any treaties with anyone. And that is basically it. Yeah, Italy has its non-aggression pact with France. So that is how we start. All right, let's go. I said playing 0G with Germany. This is going to be a short turn because it's January, February 1936 and nothing much happens. So I'm going to roll a d10. If I roll 1 or less, the turn ends. -1 for each previously played option except Major Power 0G. So no minuses here. So if I roll a 1, it ends, but otherwise it continues. And I rolled a 3. So Germany gains bid points 15, thanks to its political effectiveness. And from Berlin, what are the news coming out of Berlin? The Reich projects calm. No treaties are torn up today. No borders are challenged, at least not openly. Behind closed doors, the Chancellor's circle chooses patience. Influence accumulated, plans refined, leverage banked for the crisis ahead. The official line is stability. And the goal is momentum. Normally, you would get to activate a minor country for the purposes of moving it across the political status display right here. But since there is no influence on any of the minor countries at the moment, that is redundant. Italy gets to play, and it is surprisingly going to play 0G. Everybody's going to play 0G this time because everybody needs bid points for the next turn. 9 points for Italy. And in Italy, the government speaks loudly of destiny. But in this winter, it's playing the long game, gathering political credit, measuring Paris and London, keeping options open. Italy will act, but only when the stage is set and the spotlight belongs to Rome. Let's see if the turn ends. It does not. That was a close one. Could have been a one. The Commonwealth will get a chance to do something here. And it will play a 0G, which means that it gets 9 bid points, like so many others. Alright, and so many others. In London, the ministers cling to the hope that Europe can still be managed. The government avoids bold commitments and dramatic threats. Instead, Britain husbands its political strength, reserving influence for the day it may need to rally allies, stiffen resolve, or draw a line in the sand. The Empire watches and waits. I should put this one down here so we remember who's doing what. Alright, let's see. We keep rolling. It's only if I roll a 1 that the turn ends, because nobody has actually done anything particularly important yet. France will also do a 0G. Very surprising. Now, as democracies, France, the Commonwealth, and the US all have to hold elections this year, 1936. The US needs to hold it in November, December, and the others can choose whatever turn they want to. If they do not hold an election during this year, they will absolutely need to do the first option that comes up in the next year. So it's a good idea to do the election during this year. In Paris, the nation remembers the trenches too well. France makes no new demands, raises no new alarms. The Republic chooses diplomacy by omission, banking influence, maintaining alliances, preparing to respond rather than provoke. The strategy is caution. The fear is that caution may not be enough. Okay, France rolls to end the turn. It does not end. The Soviet Union gets to act, and surprisingly, it will also play a 0G. We are very surprised about everything so far. In the Soviet Union, silence is its own kind of policy. The Soviet Union does not lunge, it accumulates. Influence is gathered quietly, like reserves behind the front. The Kremlin watches the fascists, the democracies, watches everyone, and decides that for now, patience. Alright, Japan. Let's see if they get to do anything. Yes, they do. And they will play a 0G, getting 6 bid points as well, because their political effectiveness is only a 2. Much like in the other cases, Tokyo offers reassurances while the general staff watches the continent. No formal escalation is announced. Japan consolidates, waiting for the right incident, the right pretext, the right moment. The posture is restraint, but behind that restraint, preparations are being made. Let's see if the US gets to do anything. It does! Look at that. In Washington, the public mood is clear. No foreign entanglements. The administration avoids grand commitments abroad, choosing instead to store political capital for domestic battles and future emergencies. America remains officially distant. But quietly, maybe Roosevelt wants to be more prepared than he wants to admit to the public. He's also playing a 0G, which gives the US 6 bid points. And finally, will China be able to do anything? Yes, it will. I can't remember. I think that Chiang Kai-shek had the Jiang Jieshi, as he was in Mandarin, had his government in Beijing at some point, but maybe not right now. I don't remember. Anyone remember? I don't know. But if it's in Nanjing, anyway, the government confronts a hard truth. China needs time to organize, time to unify, time to endure. Japan looms large. At this stage, of course, Chiang Kai-shek, the Generalissimo, is more concerned with the communist insurgency than with the Japanese accumulation of troops on the border. The leadership will conserve what leverage it has and saving influence for now. Now, China only has a political effectiveness of 1, so it only gets 3 bid points. And that means that everyone got to do something this political turn, which is not surprising because it is in fact January, February, and everybody played a 0G. Things will heat up over time, I can tell you that much. And by the time we get to 1940, it's going to be messy, probably. For now, let's have a look at the sequence here. We have a reinforcement segment, but there are no reinforcements this turn. This is the production chart for World in Flames 5th edition. Any grognards who remember and play the collector's edition will notice that it is very different from the later editions. This is like, when was 5th edition published? Was it 91 or something? Copyright? Yeah, 91. This is old school, folks. We're very old school here. This is what I grew up on and how I learned about World War II. Games are good for that. So we have reinforcement stage, initiative segment. Of course, nobody's really going to do a whole lot this turn, but we're still going to roll for initiative and so on because it will matter eventually. Nope, that's not a die roll. I'm going to do this in black. There, a black die. So we have a blue die for the allies and a black die for the axes. And we have a +1 for the axis. That's how we start out here. 4-4. That means that the axis actually win initiative. Which, again, not going to matter a whole lot. It's more a matter of who gets to do more impulses at this particular point in time than it is about doing things, because it's going to take a while before the wars start in earnest. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't follow along here. So it's January, February, we're all for weather. It's a good way to learn the game too, for those of you who might not be familiar with this good old classic. It's a 1 in January, February, which is like the worst weather you could possibly get, probably much. Severe winter in the Arctic Circle, severe winter in the Arctic, winter in temperate, winter even in the Mediterranean. And then it's clear in the subtropical North Monsoon. And there is subtract 1 from next turn's die roll. And 5 steps for the impulse marker to advance. Now, we go to the action phase. Since none of the major powers are at war with another major power, everybody has to choose combined actions. And we will start with the axes. So what kind of combined actions do we want to take here? We have some infantry corps here in East Prussia. We have... Oops, don't know what that was about. It does that sometimes when I click on things. We have tanks and an infantry corps here in north of Düsseldorf with Manstein, but they're not allowed to cross the Rhine according to the Treaty of Versailles. We have the German Navy here, which is, oh, look at that, pipeline placement there, so we can get that juicy Swedish resource. 1 submarine and 1 destroyer group, basically. Germany really doesn't have too much to do right now. I think Italy has something to do though. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 4 is the movement points because it's going to transport this tactical bomber home, because at the end of this turn, Italian East Africa will be Italian. And that will give Italy another resource for its production, which won't make a whole lot of a difference now, but it will eventually. For the others, let's see. If I recall correctly, Commonwealth, some fighter groups. We have... Oh, don't we have... I don't know that we have transports here. Not a single transport there. And not a single transport there. Okay, we'll just have to make do without transports for now. The Commonwealth needs to build transports. That is a conclusion we can draw from this. The Commonwealth currently is not getting all the resources from across the empire. But it's not the Commonwealth's turn to do things. Japan! Let's see. It has 2 infantry corps here in Tokyo. And only the 1 transport. So let's use that, shall we? We have a number of actions to take. On a combined, Japan, 2 naval moves, 3 land moves, 1 land attack, 2 aircraft rebasing, and 1 strategic move. No land attacks is going to happen because there is in fact no war. So I'm going to transport 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have 3 land moves. What did we say the weather was like in the temperate zone? It was winter, right? So it's not actually, doesn't actually influence the movement points. It does influence supply range and such. So 1, 2, and 3, which means that we have used this transport. And then we can do a rebase here. This is a naval air bomber unit, so it tends to carry torpedoes and bomb ships. Left hand top number is air to air, right hand top is air to sea, left hand bottom is air to ground, and right hand bottom is strategic bombardment factors. So this thing can bomb on land too. It's just very bad at doing it. And we can rebase it naval air. Let me remember. This is my old rulebook here. This is super old. I've had it for ages. Since I was a kid, basically, because it's fun. So, a naval, 8 points, movement points, which on this map is 4 steps. But since it's a rebase, that gives us 8. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at that. Can get all the way there. And that is all she wrote for Japan and for Germany, etc. Which means that we now go to the Allied first. So we were at Axis first, and now we're going to the Allied first impulse. And the Allied first impulse will be the Soviets. Let's see. Depends on how aggressive we want to be against Japan. And I don't know yet. We'll find out, won't we? But I do know one thing. The communists here will move out of Lanzhou because we want to have as many communists on the line here when Japan comes steamrolling to bolster the Chinese defenses. These counts towards the USSR movements. So the USSR now has, what is it, 5, I think? Yeah, 5 land moves. So it has 3 left, but there isn't a whole lot of other things that it might want to do. France has a fighter, a tactical bomber, Pétain himself along the Maginot line here. We have some troops in the mountains. We have troops in Tunis and in Casablanca. For now, everything is fine, right? We have this 7-3 here in Syria. I think we might want to get that one away from Syria. So we're going to rebase this transport. Goes from Cherbourg here, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to Marseille for now. Eventually, we're going to get all the way to Syria so we can send home. And that's basically it for them. What strategies do we have here for the various countries right now? I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. But there's a lot that can happen with this game over time. So we're not in exactly a hurry, are we? 5 steps on the impulse marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be like the shortest turn ever in the history of ever. But that's fine, because nobody's doing anything anyway. Axis second impulse. Japan is doing things. Japan wants to rebase some aircraft. It's just a drill. No particular reason. How many aircraft could we rebase? With Japan? 2. So we can, in fact, rebase these guys, too. And again, 1 and 2. And this time we can move this one as well. 3. I'm sure the Chinese have absolutely nothing to worry about. And what is the next step here? Italy has done the thing. Germany doesn't really have any particular schemes at the moment. So I guess we roll to see if the turn ends on the second impulse, which is uncommonly early. It's a 1 for the turn to end. And it doesn't, which means that the Allies get to do their second impulse. And China will, of course, use this. Actually, the Soviets will use it. There. They can maximum move 4 hexes away from Lanzhou, so they can get all the way up here to the mountains. But no further. Commonwealth, France, they're all fine. The USSR is basically fine too, unless we want to bulk up the military. But the USSR can't attack anyone until Stalin has completed his purges. Yeah, go figure. So I guess we roll another d6 to see if the turn ends. And it didn't. It's gonna end in a moment. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's as far as we get. So when the Axis have completed their impulse now, it's gonna be a 1 to 4 for the turn to end. Let's see, we have several tactical bombers here. 1 fighter, not a particularly good one. Japan will move 1 there. 2. 3, I guess? We might need to send some folks up to guard the Manchurian border just in case the Soviets get any ideas. But otherwise, we're done with the Axis. But that didn't end the turn, because, look, it needs a 4 to end. Now it's going to be a 4 for everyone here. So the Chinese, Soviets, the Communists get another chance to move. They will. Mao and that troop moves 1 more step. And other than that, I think we're pretty good. So let's see if the turn ends now. It does. Okay then, we are going on from the action phase to... I don't know why it jumps around like that sometimes. Partisan phase. Let's see if there are any partisans in the world. There are partisans in Norway. Hasn't been occupied. The UK hasn't been occupied. Hungary, Poland, Italy, and East Africa. Okay. But that hasn't been conquered yet. Australia, Manchuria, and China. Manchuria is a place where there are resources and occupation. But there's also no war going on right now. So I have to count the garrison value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which means that no partisans actually can pop up here. Japan gets to keep its resource in Manchuria this turn. Let's see, what else do we have? Convoy attack phase won't happen. Coup phase won't happen. US entry phase. There is no one who is at war with any democracy at the moment, so that is also not going to happen. Production phase. Okay, so let's start with the United States of America. Has 10 money to start with. Has an income of 3 at the moment. So 13. we have to pay attention to the mandatory builds in this edition of World in Flames. Nothing in there, but we have some stuff in the construction pool, and some of this stuff will have to be built. So that has to be on the map May, June 38. So not yet. This one has to be on the map September, October 37. So not yet. Which means that the US of A can do other things. But what exactly? We have 13 bucks. Transports are important. What else is important? Aircraft carriers, but let's start with building and transport. The gearing limit right now is set to 0, which means that you want to build one of each type. So the US is going to build a transport. That costs 4. Nope, not that one. I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to pull out... Oh, I don't have to shuffle the transports. Gee, they're all the same units, aren't they? So it's going to come in here in November, December of this year. The Commonwealth starts with 9 money, has an income of 6, so it actually starts with 16 money. The Commonwealth has no mandatory build listed here. How about these guys, though? Oh yeah, there we go. This one has to get in immediately. It's a heavy surface, a battleship group. It is the Ramillies and the Resolute. No, Resolution. That's what it's called, the Resolution. Very well. And that's a ship. It can't buy anything else, even though it wants to. Not in the terms of ships, anyway. It costs 5 bucks to build a battleship. France starts with 5, has an income of 4, now has 9, and does have this one as a mandatory build. This is another battleship group, the Dunkirk and the Strasbourg. So 5 money there, down to 4 left, and this ship will come. Capital ships need to do 2, including destroyer groups, need to do 2 turns on the production spiral. The first one is to lay down the keel, the second does the superstructure, and then it comes into the map. Soviet Union does not have mandatory builds because, frankly, the Soviet Navy is, yeah, not terribly important in this day and age. It has 5 money to start with, it has 4 production per turn, it gets 9 money then, and it's going to spend its money building an infantry, because that's all that the Soviet Union... It has 22 in the force pool, and it's going to take a while to build all of it. So that is what the Soviet Union always does. It builds all the infantry it possibly can. And China has as an income 1 production per turn, so it's not even going to build anything. Japan has 5 money and has 6 to start with, so it gets 11. Does Japan have a mandatory build as well? Oh yeah, look at that. Aircraft carrier immediately. Yep. It has to be in the construction pool in a year from now, so we'll put... Which ones are these? The Soryu and the Hiryu. Very good aircraft carriers indeed. They cost 6 to build. So Japan basically gets 6 money and spends 6 money immediately, and right back down to 5 again. So we had the Soviet Union building an infantry, Japan building a ship. I did do Germany and Italy for some reason. Germany starts with 5 money, okay, and has 7 per turn, so it has 12 money at the moment. It does not have any mandatory builds. Okay, let's see. Germany needs stuff as well. Germany will build. Why not start the game with a bang and build some armor? Because we can. No, I hope I didn't change anything here. No, that's okay. An 8/6 armor. Okay. And that costs 6 as well. So armor is not cheap. Italy has 4 production per turn, starts with 5 money, it now has 9, and I do believe it also has mandatory builds. Oh yeah, there we go. Battleship group. So 5 money out of the cash box right away. There's a lot of naval builds early on here among the major powers. This is the Giulio Cesare and the Conti de Cavour. Apparently they were sunk in November, December 1940 historically. Let's see if that happens again. And that is all the builds. Italy has built the ship. Germany has built an armor, because why not? We can't go against stereotype too much here, right? That is the production. It starts slow with production, but it will increase over time. Return to base phase. Here we go. Return to base. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this will go back to Tokyo. And then final reorganization phase removes the used from the French transport. And final reorganization phase, conquest phase, means that Italian East Africa is now Italian, which means that Italy will get next turn another resource, which will not increase its production because the production multiple is currently 1, so only 1 resource per factory at this stage. Everyone, we have completed January, February of 1936, which might not have been the most action-filled turn ever, but I think it's going to be escalating from here. So for March and April 1936, from then on in, there will be more actions taken by just about everyone. And we will be here covering it all until the end of the war, possibly. But who knows when the war will start and where the war will start. Because RNG will change things. Even if we try to play this as historically accurate as possible, it won't be historically completely accurate because of the dice, which is one of the charms with this. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time when we get to March and April of 1936.